Conservatives. Who are they, what do they want, and how do they think? There are two kinds of conservatives: non-wealthy, uneducated individuals, and wealthy, selfish, smart, and highly educated individuals. Let's look first at the non-wealthy, uneducated conservatives. Most of them are male, white, and older, although a few misguided women and non-whites share their views. The least we can say is that these people are not very sophisticated.
You like it so bad? Go back! Why are you here?
It's about time we have a man like Trump in here. They ain't afraid to tell it like it is, man.
This is your typical American citizen voting again and again against his or her financial interest. Most of the time, his or her unsophisticated mind has associated being conservative with masculine power and national strength. It's interesting to remember that World War II was fought and won under democratic presidents. Anyway, there is no thinking and no agenda here with these people. They are just mindless followers. The conservative agenda is to be found with a totally different type of people who do need the votes of many non-wealthy and uneducated individuals to keep winning elections. Wealthy, selfish, smart, highly educated individuals. In this category, you'll find the big donors of the Republican Party. We're talking about people like Michael Dell, Carly Fiorina, the Wanton family, Bernie Marcus and Ken Langoni, Mitt Romney, etc. All these people share one thing. They are the owners of huge, powerful businesses, and they believe in giving their workers the minimum while making millions, if not billions in the case of the Waltons, every year. These people wouldn't be able to actually implement anything if they didn't have the help of another type of conservative, what I call the thinking members of the Conservative Party, the intelligentsia, if you will.
Well, this is another busy week as we continue to make progress on our agenda for the American people.
Guys like Paul Ryan, Karl Rove, and the Koch brothers, who are actively working at every level of our government to promote the conservative agenda. You better be convinced that they have a much more sophisticated agenda than just making money. Of course they want to make money, but more importantly, here's what they want to do. Transfer as much wealth from the 99% to the 1%, making sure there is a set of rules that applies to you and a different one to them. Remove themselves from the social consensus. Transfer as much wealth from the 99% to the 1%.
Today, 1% of Americans are taking home nearly 20% of the country's total income and own more than 35% of America's wealth. And it didn't happen by accident. It's the result of policy decisions on taxes, education, trade, labor, macroeconomics, and financial regulation, all of which shifted economic power away from low and moderate income American families. Economic inequality is real, it's personal, it's expensive, and it was created. Since the 1960s, tax rates on very high incomes have been slashed dramatically, starving public investments in schools and roads and everything else needed to build our economy, and providing ever greater incentives to rig the economy's rules to send more money to the top.
Making sure there is a set of rules that applies to you and a different one to them.
The laws we've created to govern globalization have protected corporate interests but done nothing for American workers. Instead, we've allowed workers' rights to be systematically dismantled, both here and abroad. Policymakers also began using high unemployment, which hurts everybody but especially low and middle-wage workers, to protect the wealthy from any hint of inflation. And then corporate interests pushed to abandon safeguards preventing the financial sector from making risky bets, which had to be backstopped by American taxpayers when those bets went sour. A protection not given America's underwater homeowners.
Let's look at a real-world example that shows that this world is built for wealthy people, most of them conservatives, and not for you. Let's say you bought a house in 2006 at the height of the bubble for $200,000 at the rate of 5.5%. Let's leave the technicality of the down payment out of this to make it easier. 3 years later, in 2009, your house was worth $130,000. That year, you tried to refinance. All you were asking your lender for was a better rate. You still agreed to pay the original price of the house, which was $200,000, but at a better rate. You couldn't refinance unless you brought the difference to the bank. In this particular case, $85,000. You did nothing wrong, and you kept agreeing to assume a value that didn't exist anymore, but just at a better rate. The one person didn't let you refinance. Now, that's how things work for you. This is how it works for them. When financial institutions and banks were bailed out by the Obama administration in 2009, they asked for the deal they wanted, and they got it, with no strings attached, they said. They were given money at a very low rate, money coming from your taxes. They were able to actually put that money to work and manage a profit. Compared to these wealthy people, you are just a second-class citizen. For these conservatives, America, by its legal system, its constitution, and the way Congress can be bought through lobbying and campaign financing, along with unethical laws such as Citizens United, is the best tool to make money while enjoying the social safety and the infrastructure of a peaceful nation. Infrastructure built by public money, of course. The truth is, most conservatives are free riders, riding the mythical wave of the self-made man. I think Senator Warren explained this very well.
There is nobody in this country who got rich on his own. Nobody. You built a factory out there, good for you, but I want to be clear, you moved your goods to market on the roads the rest of us paid for. Yep. You hired workers, the rest of us paid to educate. You were safe in your factory because of police forces and fire forces that the rest of us paid for. You didn't have to worry that marauding bands would come and seize everything at your factory and hire someone to protect against this because of the work the rest of us did. Now look, you built a factory and it turned into something terrific or a great idea. God bless. Keep a big hunk of it. But part of the underlying social contract is you take a hunk of that and pay forward for the next kid who comes along.
This is what we could read in the Washington Post on April of 2014, written by Larry Bartels in an article called Rich People Rule. Economic elites and organized groups representing business interests have substantial independent impact on US government policy, while average citizens have little or no independent influence. Between 2007 and 2012, 200 of America's most politically active corporations spent a combined $5.8 billion on federal lobbying and campaign contributions and got back $4.4 trillion in federal business and support. Bank lobbyists are involved in drafting legislation. One bill was essentially Citigroup's. Remove themselves from the social consensus.
Today, a hope of many years standing is in large part fulfilled. The civilization of the past 100 years, with its startling industrial changes, has tended more and more to make life insecure. Young people have come to wonder what would be their lot when they came to old age. The man with a job has wondered how long the job would last. This Social Security measure gives at least some protection to 30 million of our citizens who will reap direct benefits through unemployment compensation, through old age pensions, and through increased services for the protection of children and the prevention of ill health. We can never insure 100% of the population against 100% of the hazards and vicissitudes of life, but we have tried to frame a law which will give some measure of protection to the average citizen and to his family against the loss of a job and against poverty-stricken old age. It seems to me that if the Senate and the House of Representatives in this long and arduous session had done nothing more than pass this security bill, Social Security Act, the session would be regarded as historic for all time.
You are the one who will need Medicare and Social Security after a life of hard work. Wealthy people won't. They hope to retire living off the return of their investments. That's why they use a very loaded word to talk about Medicare and Social Security, to make you feel guilty. They call these two programs entitlements. Except that some of us have fed Social Security and Medicare for 50 years through our payroll taxes.
We got millions of seniors who are trying to survive on $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a year of Social Security. That's it. It's their whole source of income. You tell me. Tell me if you're 80, 85 years of age, how you survive on $12,000 a year. How do you buy the food that you need? How do you heat your home? How do you buy the medicine and the health care that you need on $12,000, $13,000 a year? You don't. The answer is you live day to day and you struggle and you live under a great deal of stress. So in the middle of all of this, in the middle of a time when senior poverty is increasing, when people are struggling to keep their heads above water, Republicans and some Democrats came up with a brilliant idea. And the brilliant idea was to go forward with what is called a chain CPI, which is a fancy term for cutting cost of living adjustments for Social Security, for the elderly and the disabled. Anyone here know what the last COLA was this year that seniors on Social Security received? Who knows what it was? Zero!
One of the biggest fears of conservatives is to see one day Social Security payroll taxes applied and extended to the whole income of an individual, regardless of the nature of the income, whether it's a wage or return from investments.
First of all, anyone who tells you that Social Security is going broke is not telling you the truth. Social Security has a trust fund of $2.7 trillion, can pay out every benefit owed to every eligible American for the next 19 years. Okay? Now, 19 years means that we're not in a crisis, but it does mean that we should act as soon as possible. What do we do? What's the solution? Who tells me? Who wants to tell me? All right, what does that mean in English?
We want to make Social Security payments paid by people who earn more than a very small amount of money.
Right. Okay, so here's what you got right now. You got somebody making $118,000. You're probably not, but we'll give you. And we'll let you make $10 million. All right, you happy? All right. She ends up paying the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund as he does. Okay, so he's paying 6.2%. She's going to pay a much smaller percentage. If we do nothing more than say, we don't have to start at 118, you start at $250,000 a year, very small number of Americans make that small percentage, and you have them pay the same percentage of their income into the Social Security Trust Fund, we can expand benefits for all people on Social Security and extend the solvency of Social Security until 2065.
Same for Medicare. Medicare must be privatized Many conservatives make money through pharmaceutical and private insurance stocks. These stocks are among the most lucrative to own. They will make more money if suddenly millions of Americans must buy private insurance. The existence of a single-payer fund for older people, called Medicare, means that wealthy people do have to contribute to it, while not needing it. Besides, if Medicare keeps existing, the potential for Medicare to be rolled out to everybody and be transformed into a national healthcare system is a constant threat that must be removed. When Medicare and Social Security are severely weakened, destroyed, or privatized, same thing. There will no longer be reasons to increase taxes to hold over the heads of the wealthy as a constant Damocles sword. Wealthy conservatives don't believe in any system based on social solidarity, and they are actively at work to destroy your world because your world is not theirs. Maybe you think you have reliable partners in mainstream liberals.
You remember what it was like. I mean, this wasn't all that long ago. Barack Obama, we're in the middle of this kind of economic catastrophe. Barack Obama is elected president on this unbelievable wave of hope and enthusiasm. I don't know about you, but I thought he was our generation's Franklin Roosevelt. I was very excited. And he then proceeded to continue the policies of President Bush, basically unchanged, at least for the first couple of years of his administration. No big banks ever got put into receivership. No bailouts ever got unwound. No elite bankers ever got prosecuted. So Obama and his Democrats refused to change course when every sign was telling them to turn, when it would have been good policy to turn, when it would have been overwhelmingly popular to turn, when the country fully expected them to turn. And I don't mean just you and me. I mean the Wall Street bankers themselves were like, oh, shit, here it comes, right? And when it was fully within his power to turn the wheel and steer the country in a different direction. Everybody was expecting him to do it. We elected him to do it. He had the power to do it. It would have been good for the country to do it.
Senator Warren, what do you think about President Obama accepting $400,000 from Wall Street?
Well, I was troubled by that.
I think it is unfortunate that President Obama is doing this.
And Clinton even went through with the first step in his State of the Union speech in 1998, where he said that he was going to save Social Security first. You might remember this. That was his code phrase for we're going to privatize it. Now, y'all know what happened to this this beautiful proposal. Monica Lewinsky the very next day, right? And that we never heard about that plan again. I mean, if you ask me, she's a hero,
Do you really believe these people are from a different camp? Do you really believe that what makes a difference is whether you're a Democrat or a Republican? Whether they are Democrats or Republicans, wealthy people, except for a few out of the ordinary individuals, simply can't help fighting for their class. And it's not yours.
Poor George. He can't help it. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth.
You had the opportunity in 2016 to vote for somebody that would have made a difference. You didn't. If you were not born with a foot or silver spoon in your mouth, a silver bullet was surely fired at you, and you're going to have to bite it.